our community will be connected to the national broadband network. Now the Liberals will build fibre optic cable to the end of your street, and you will have to pay to connect via the copper network to the NBN. That's an outdated system. We're building for the future, we're thinking of the future. In this electorate, the Liberals have cut $30 million from the local hospital budget. They've closed 47 beds. I'm fighting to get that funding back for our local community hospital and ensure that we've got adequate health services in our community. I'm also keen to ensure that kids who aren't academically minded and don't want to go into university have an opportunity to begin a trade whilst they're still at school.
Okay, I saw that in the Southern Courier, you at Marist College at that $7 million place for apprenticeships or whatever. But my concern is that if you are not Catholic, this area, basically the Catholic schools are more difficult to get into, they're more exclusive. And the public schools are sort of not as well regarded, they're a bit rough. I've taught in them.
The trade training centres have been built in about 600 schools throughout the country, and more of them are in public schools. What
about in this electorate?
Well, none of the public schools have applied to have them in their schools. If they did, they would be assessed for funding. Marist College is the only one in this electorate that's applied for the funding to establish a trade training centre. They're available for all other schools in this community, and our Better Schools plan will see more resources go into those schools that are struggling, where students are falling behind, particularly some of those public high schools where there aren't much needed resources. So we'll see more targeted resources, better quality teachers, smarter kids over time.
Because they wouldn't have the extra $6 million, because I think the government put in $1 million and it was $7 million. So my concern is that the public schools in this area are missing out.
No, we've committed fully to the Gonski funding, and we've funded it for the full 6 years. Unlike the Coalition, who have only funded it for the next 3 years. So half of the funding is cut under a Coalition government, but we're funding the Gonski reforms for the full amount.
Okay, and back to the issue of the way Julia Gillard was treated. She also had these plans. In fact, she put a lot of them in place herself. So with the white-anting and undermining of Julia Gillard, how do you feel about that?
Look, we live in a Westminster system of government, and it's served our nation well. And I think we're one of the strongest democracies in the world. And the leader of the party, the leader of the opposition, is chosen by the party room in accordance with accepted principles, democratic rules. That was the decision that was made. We're talking about what we're doing, our plans, our positive agenda for the future, particularly in education, in health, in broadband. National Disability Insurance Scheme is a big winner because we're finally recognising that people living with a disability in our community deserve fair treatment. And in this community, 2,000 people living with a disability will have access to the National Disability Insurance Scheme over the coming years. And Julia Gillard made a contribution to that, and she deserves praise of the community and the party.
Okay, but I just feel that the way Kevin Rudd leaked to journalists was unethical, and a lot of good men left, particularly Greg Combay and Steve Smith and other good party members, Peter Garrett included, left because of the way she was treated.
Look, that's the system of government that we have. It served us well, it served the party well. It was a democratic process, and Kevin Rudd has been elected the leader of the party and the Prime Minister, and it's our job now to ensure that we stop the Tony Abbott government, because it will be disastrous for our community. Cuts to education services, cuts to healthcare services, an inferior national broadband network, trade training centres finished. That's what's at stake in this election.
But in your case, the competition is actually a doctor, so I would hope that he would look after the hospitals.
Well, he hasn't said anything about the $30 million that's been cut by the New South Wales Liberal government from Prince of Wales Hospital, resulted in 37 beds being closed, resulted in a hospital considering privatising the hydrotherapy pool. That's the difference between a Labor and a Liberal government. Thanks.
Thank you.